everybody. This is Karen Motzo, and I'm here with Heather Jenkins. And thank you for taking out this hour before dinner to spend some time with us today. This is our first webinar for parents and part of our Remote Learning for Parents, or Parents as Partners series. So we're happy to have you here today. And Heather, if you could just forward the slide, that would be great. Just to tell you a little bit about us, I am Karen Motzo, and I am the Professional Development Director at DS, and Heather is one of our amazing coaches and educational experts, and she will be delivering the webinar today. We are a consulting company in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and our staff is made up of teachers and administrators that have been in the business of education for lots and lots and lots of years. So we're happy to be able to help largely districts in New Hampshire, but we also work in a few states outside of New Hampshire. And we focus on curriculum, ELA and math mostly, instruction and assessment, and we have a couple of different culture and climate initiatives happening right now. One of them at a large high school in the state, and a couple of others. And we focus also on PLC training and data, using data, helping teachers and educators to use data to drive their instruction. And then since last March, we've been doing heavy duty remote learning support. So we're very excited about that, and we're happy to have you all here. And just those are some of the districts that we've been working in. And we also work with the Department of Education as well through a couple different contracts. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Remote Learning Parent PD series. We're very excited about it. We feel like parents are really teammates this year. You know, the kids are home, they're working from home, and especially for our youngest learners, they can't do it without their parents. So we're eager to support parents in their quest to support their kids. And the series that we developed will include at least one, sometimes two webinars each month. And the content of those webinars it's going to be a little different from what you're going to see today. Heather's going to focus today on Seesaw and Google Classroom. The rest of the webinars will be focused on content, meaning, for example, one of the webinars will be, well, actually, we'll talk about that in a second. I'll have the list in front of you. But you'll have a webinar monthly, and then in addition to that, we'll share with you resource lists, ideas, articles, and information around each webinar topic. And then the day after each webinar, we'll be holding office hours so parents can come on and talk with us about the webinar content, and we look forward to that. And then lastly, in March, we are going to hold a social emotional learning panel. And we're going to bring in a couple of experts and have a Zoom panel around social emotional health of our kids. And these are the webinars that we've designed for the parent series. And you can see here that they're focused on math and ELA, right? So it's basically the overall focus is what you can do at home to support your student in this learning. And it's a little small, so I'll read them out loud. Strategies to help your child with problem solving in math, that'll happen later this month. And then in January, we'll focus on executive functioning during remote learning. And again in January, we'll talk about number fluency. And in February, we will help you with strategies to build your child's comprehension and vocabulary while you read with your child. And then in March, we'll talk about the language in your math programs and the standards and sort of dissect them so that you can understand what those learning targets are for your parents, for your kids. And in March, again, we will talk about reading in a way that can support your child's fluency in decoding and what you can do while you read with him or her. And then in April, we're going to switch up a little bit and be a little more technical. We all thought that it would be very good to discuss and share resources with you around monitoring your students' internet access. And then lastly, in April, we are going to do a webinar around deep thinking routines. So those are the webinars we have planned. And this is the very first one. And this has actually been offered free to the public to try to encourage people to join us. Thank you for the work that you've been doing for your students, teachers, and administrators that are on today. Thank you for the support you've been giving to your children, parents, and we just really sympathize with the plight of parents who have kids at home that are learning and who are trying to do their jobs virtually. And we just have a lot of compassion for you. So we hope this helps you a little today, and we hope that we can get some of this information to you. Just to orient you on the control panel. On your right, you should see a control panel. There is a place to write in questions. Okay, so I encourage you all to write in questions. And you're all going to be muted for the duration of the webinar. That's not to say that you can't raise your hand and I can unmute you if you want to speak out loud, but that's fine. I will field all questions and interrupt Heather as we go. There's also a chat. So Heather I think she's going to wind up possibly putting a poll or something in the chat. So keep your eyes on that. What else? I think that's it for the control panel.
That is. Yep.
Okay.
So here we are.
And this is Karen. It's nice to see you all.
All right, so this is sort of where I take over. I'm Heather Jenkins. Nice to see everybody. I will be turning my video off. For some reason, it really distracts me. I don't know why, but I just wanted to say hello. I'm gonna turn that off there.
I'm gonna turn mine off too, and that way the presentation will be bigger and it'll be a little easier to see. So we'll see you all at the end. We'll come back.
So this is my gentle reminder for the folks that are on tonight, is making sure that we understand children are obviously the priority. Change right now is reality and collaboration is the strategy. So working between parents and schools and all of that are just essential right now. Not that they weren't before. This is actually a really old quote. You can see it's 2016, but I feel like it really rings true right now in a completely different way for all of our families. So right now, I would just like to, I'm going to launch a poll, and you're able to choose more than one option for the poll, but I just wanted to see if you're a parent or guardian, a teacher or school administrator. You may be both, so I'm going to launch the poll there. Can you see that, Karen?
Yes, I can see
Okay.
it.
I just wanted to make sure because my presentation comes off.
Yeah.
And I can see what the results are there, so I will go here. All right, so it looks like right now we have mostly parents and guardians. We have some school administrators and some teachers, so that's perfect. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting a gauge on exactly how many parents and guardians and things like that we have.
Yep, it looks like almost 70% parents and guardians. That's thrilling. Yeah. Hello to all of you parents out there.
Yes. Yes. All right. So thank you for that. I'm going to close the poll. Did you close it, Karen? Okay. All right. So here we are back to the presentation. So our goals for today, like Karen had mentioned a little bit earlier, this particular webinar is really more of a how-to. We've decided to do this as the first one because we have had a lot of people and parents frustrated with both Seesaw and Google Classroom and wondering how they can support their children at home with these particular platforms. So our goals for today are going to be answering basically what are the platforms and applications, what do the parent pieces of both Seesaw and Google Classroom look like, how can you help your student in Seesaw, and then how can you help your student in Google Classroom. So I'm going to do my best to be able to finish on time, but I kind of have a lot of information to cover. So just so you know, this webinar is being recorded. So if for some reason we do go over, it will be available to you to be able to see the end of it if you miss anything. Okay, so the first thing is the overall overviews of Seesaw and Google Classroom. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. Most of you probably know what they are, but I just wanted to highlight some important information. Seesaw is really mostly a digital portfolio for students. You can see here that it's what they're trying to do is create a learning loop between students, teachers, and families. So students show their learning, teachers are gaining insights, and then families are connecting. There's an actual family platform for families to log into. So that's a little bit different than Google Classroom. So what you can do for families in Seesaw, you can log into the family portal, like I said. The teacher just needs to send you an invitation. You're able to view completed activities in your student's journal. So anything that's completed, you will be able to view, and you're allowed to interact and comment on those completed activities in your student's journal. And you can see any family announcements that the teachers send out. What you cannot do, though, is view incomplete activities or assignments. So if they're not completed, you won't see them on the family side of things. And you are not able to see just student announcements, so only family announcements. So Google Classroom. Google Classroom, rather than being a complete student portfolio, it's more of a link to your students' digital learning. So it's basically simplifying teaching for the teachers and able to manage their students in their classroom and give them information. They are able to measure a little bit more easily in Google Classroom than Seesaw. There's grading in Seesaw, but it's a little bit different. So a lot of Google Classroom work can be graded. And what they're trying to do a little bit more is strengthen student connections and allow people to collaborate. So families in Google Classroom, what you can do, you're able to receive guardian summaries. The teacher will send you an invitation to those. They'll include missing work, upcoming work, and class activities like announcements and all of that. You will be able to do that, either view it weekly or daily, those summaries. What you cannot do, however, in Google Classroom is comment or interact with student activities. So when your student finishes an activity, you'll see it on a list, but you won't actually be able to see what their the content of the activity is. And you won't be able to see any of the actual work that your student completes. You'll be able to see that the assignment is done, but you won't know what it looks like. There's not really a platform for families to log into Google Classroom. So the Seesaw Family Portal. You will, the first thing you'll do is once a teacher sends you an invitation, it's in your email, or you could have do a phone number. Most people it's emails. So you're just gonna click the invitation link. You're gonna fill out the information. You can also sign up with Google if you wanna sign up with Google, and you create an account. It's that easy. As soon as you create the account, you can go to if you just type in Seesaw login, it will bring up these. If you're using an app, it's app.seesaw.me. If you're using the regular web, it's web.seesaw.me. You'll get this screen here. You choose I'm a family member, and you enter your email information and password. I'm going to choose family sign in. You can also sign in with your Google account. So once you log in, the first time you log in, it gives these little tips. I thought I would show them here because it gives you a little bit of information about what you'll be seeing. So anything your child adds or posts in Seesaw, they'll be able to share with you. When your child posts something new, you'll get notified if you would like to get notified. Some parents are being inundated with notifications. I'll show you how to switch that. And then you can ask your child about what they posted and be able to start conversations about their day. So this is the home screen. Once you log in as a parent, this is what the screen looks like. Here contains your login information and account settings. You'll have a home tab here, and that's a running feed of all activities completed by your student or students. If you have more than one, it's a running list of all of this of all your students. This here is the number of new activities posted since you last logged in. And then there's a journal tab, and that's organized by student. So you can see if you have more than one student, you can look at one student's portfolio at a time. And then there's an inbox that shows all family announcements and any notifications. So just going into account settings, I wanted to make sure to show you, if you click on your name here, it will bring up this little box here. You have, it says add child's journal. You can only add a journal if a teacher sends you an invitation. So I've never really added a journal that way. But what I want to point you in the direction of is the account settings here. And that will open up this particular screen. What I want to do is I want to drill into that screen. This is where the email notifications come into play. You can choose anytime something is completed, that it gives you a notification every time. You can choose to get notifications once per day, or you can choose never, because maybe you log in enough that you don't need it to be also going to your email. This push notifications is if you're using a tablet or smartphone. The push notifications, again, same thing, all once per day or never. If you're really ambitious, you can get text messages, but you'd need to share your phone number to be able to do that. So if you're being inundated with emails and things like that, and you don't want to, go into your account settings. You can also, I just wanted to show you here that you can sign out. If you're using a computer that your child uses and you use, or another family member uses, you might want to sign out. So you just click on the little sort of wheel there, and you can choose sign out. So just talking about right now that home tab in the home screen, again, this is a running feed of all the activities completed by your student or students. On here, you will see their activities, and with their activities, you could click right on where the activity name is, and it will bring up what the student saw and what the teacher actually assigned. So you can take a peek there. You can also print the activity or things like that. If you're particularly proud of it, you can print it and have it for a keepsake or things like that, or just to kind of point out to your child that you really thought they did a good job on something. This here is where the teacher has commented. You can see where they've liked it, or this is the actual comment from the teacher. You here, so that's the teacher comment, you can comment as well in this section. So I'm just making it a little bigger here. So this is where you would type your comment. If you didn't want to type it, you could record a comment. Teachers can do the same thing, so you can see recorded comments from teachers, or you can record one yourself depending on the age of your child. I always say that sometimes kids just need a woohoo, and it's a little bit different when it's with your voice, so you can record there. This X here allows you to delete a comment. If you have a comment and you realize that it wasn't for that particular activity, or you want to change it, or you decide, oh wait, I didn't want to say that, I want to say something else, you can just delete it and put a new one in. So here you can also print the activity, share it, save it, or things like that. Now going on to the journals tab. This again is organized by student, and it's for his or her portfolio. So you can see I have 2 students right here. So if you only have 1 student, it's going to show 1. If you have 4, it's going to show all 4 of them, as long as you've accepted an invitation from their teacher. So if you want to drill into or add a child, you can't add a child unless a teacher has invited you. So it's not necessarily, you would be able to scan the QR code that they sent, or use a link or URL if that's the way that your teachers are inviting you. But most likely you're going to get an email. So to drill down into a specific student, you just click on the student to open them, and it will show all the class or classes that your student is associated with. So if they have UA classes like art and media and things like that, or if they're in a middle school environment and they have English as one, math as another, and social studies and science and all of that, you'll see all of the teachers. So you can double click to open a specific teacher. And then this will show all of the completed activities that your child has done for that particular teacher. So the things that you can do all the same things that I showed you on that home tab, but this is just a specific journal for if you wanted to drill down into a student for a particular class. Okay. Moving on to the inbox, this is again where family announcements and notifications are. So within this, you have two tabs. One is messages. So here are the messages that that the teacher has sent. So this is where all the family announcements appear. So the biggest pain about this particular feature is that all the new posts appear at the bottom. So the very first announcement is at the top and you have to scroll down through it to see what the newest message is. But you will also see in this little area here on this tab, there would be a number if there was something that was new. So you don't have to go through and scroll down if there's not a number on there. So this here down on the bottom is where you are able to communicate with the teacher for Seesaw. If you had something, if you had something that you wanted to ask the teacher or just general information, you can go right through the Seesaw application or you can email them. It's up to you, but it's an option in here. So now this is the notifications tab within the inbox. And what this is telling you is it has all the recent comments on completed activities. It includes comments from the student, from the teacher or teachers, and any other family members that might be involved. You'll see this is sort of like a running list of everything that has been commented on or seen. You can also drill down into that and click on that and open any of them and it'll open the activity so you can see a little bit more detail. All right, that was pretty quick. That's pretty much the parent portal, the family portal for Seesaw. I just wanted to pause here and see if there's any questions that you have, Karen, that anybody's asked.
As far as I can see, no one has written in to with any questions around the Seesaw family portal.
Okay, feel free to stop me if for some reason I start getting into the next one. Oh, does somebody have there? Nope. Okay, I thought somebody raised their hand, but then it went down. So, all right, we'll move on. And then if you do have a question, let us know. So we're gonna move on to the Google Classroom Guardian summary. So I wanted to just really clarify some of the Guardian summary information here. I feel like,
Heather,
yes.
There is a question actually.
Okay.
In terms of Seesaw, what ages does Seesaw address, or at what levels is Seesaw most frequently used?
Seesaw can be used at any grade level. I've actually worked with some sites that are middle schools that are working with it. I've worked with a lot of elementary schools with Seesaw. I think in general, Seesaw has sort of this reputation of being really great for kindergarten, first, second, third grade, and then kids move on to Google Classroom after that, but that's not necessarily the case. There's definitely some schools that are using it in grade levels much higher than that. I have not necessarily known it to be a high school level platform, but that doesn't mean it can't be used as a portfolio for that. But some schools are using Seesaw and Google Classroom in conjunction with one another, and the student portfolio is sort of housed in Seesaw, and Google Classroom has additional sort of assignments or resources available to students. It's kind of like where they go, and then they can jump into Seesaw from Google Classroom. But yeah, so sorry, long answer. But
no, there is one other, no, that's great. And then one other question, can you upload work through that parent portal?
No. So if your student has something that they've completed, you cannot upload it for them. I will show you though the student part of Seesaw. That's part of this presentation. So you can maybe troubleshoot how you would do that with your child logged in rather than you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so back to the Google Classroom Guardian summary. Some important information, just so you know, a domain administrator at a school or at a district needs to allow Guardian summaries. This is not something that is available necessarily to all teachers. So for security purposes, there are some districts that are not allowing Guardian summaries to be sent. I just wanted to let you folks know that so that you're not thinking, well, wait a minute, why isn't the teacher sending me an invite for Guardian summaries? That may be why some districts, just for security purposes, are not allowing that. In addition, a domain administrator needs to allow teachers to invite the guardians as well. So there's a couple different switches that need to be turned on. So definitely contact your teacher if you're not receiving these and you would like to, but no, they may not have permission to be able to do it. I have never heard of a teacher who didn't want to give out a guardian summary. It's just sometimes depending on what the protocols are for a district, they're just not able to send them. So also, guardian summaries are sent to your email and do not allow you access to the Google Classroom. So it's going to be like an email and it is just that, a summary. So we'll go into that. If your district or your school and your teacher is allowed to invite you to be part of Guardian summaries, you can do this. This is how you would accept an invitation without Gmail, without a Google account. You can see here, you do not need a Google or a Gmail or a Google account to accept it. All you would do is click accept. And then this is going to bring up a page here and you'll see you're going to be receiving weekly summaries. It will also give you an option to sign in to an already created Google account and things like that. But again, this is without a Gmail account. You are not able to change the weekly email summaries to daily if you do not have a Google account. But you'll still receive the weekly summaries and all of that. So if you do have Gmail, it looks a little bit different. You'll click accept, and then it will basically say that you've been invited, and you will click accept again. The reason that it has switch account is if you're logged in as in another Google account, it will allow you to switch to your particular one. I know that families who share Google accounts or share devices will have more than one Google account they're able to log into. So this just gives you the option to say which Google account you're
one more minute. Shut that off and get to your homework.
No, we're done yet?
Okay.
Let me see.
Let's see. All right. So then once you click accept,
He is done.
you will be able to choose
Let's do
here the
homework first.
frequency. And in the frequency, you're able to choose weekly, daily, or no
How much homework do
summary.
you have?
So you'll see where there, I think somebody needs to mute maybe.
Doing what tonight? Typing with Noah?
Yeah.
Well, I guess then you're not, homework comes first.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Okay, sorry. Slightly distracted. Okay, so the email summary, changing the frequency. So if you choose that you want weekly summaries and then you decide you want daily summaries instead, that can be changed at any time with a Gmail account. So basically all you do is on the bottom of any Guardian summary, you would choose settings. So it looks like this. This is just an email and you'll choose settings here and it will allow you to choose change from weekly to daily. Okay, so what's included on the Guardian email summaries is any missing work. So anything not turned in when the summary was sent. upcoming work. So a daily email would show the work that is due that day or the next day. A weekly summary would show work that is due in the upcoming week. And then it will also show class activity like announcements or any assignments or questions or things like that. So what's not included on this is actual classwork or assignments. You can't click on it and open up and say, what is that assignment? The only thing it will allow you to do is see the name of it and things like that. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And you would be able to ask your child or your student about that. You cannot interact with teachers or your student through the Guardian summary emails. Again, it's just kind of a snapshot of what the assignments and upcoming work is. And then you will not be able to see any grades that your student gets on the Google Classroom assignments. So here's an example. I had to gray out a lot of this information because it's actual student work. But so you can see here, there's student work at the top of this summary. You can see missing from last week. So this is a weekly summary, and then due next week. In addition, you would be able to see any class activity. So you would see the class name here, and then there's assignments that are shown here. There was a question. Here's an announcement. Now, all this is going to vary depending on how the teacher sort of sets up their Google Classroom and what they're doing inside their Google Classroom. Some teachers are not going to have posted questions. Some teachers are going to have announcements and some aren't. So it will really depend on how the teachers are setting up their Google Classrooms. All right. So that is sort of the parent side of Google Classroom. I just wanted to pause here and see if there's any questions. And plug in my computer. Okay, looks like there's.
Heather, there is one. I have tried logging on my phone. This is from Yvonne. Thanks, Yvonne. As the student, but I'm not successful. Is there a helpline that can help with gaining access?
So, okay, so trying to log in as the student, is that what?
On the phone.
Oh, on here, like in Google Classroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in Google Classroom.
Right, yes, so there's a way, I'll show you the login screens. We're going to be sort of drilling down into the student side of Seesaw and then the student side of Google Classroom. If I don't answer that question or it still is confusing, I will try to get that information to you if for some reason there's still an issue after I go through those pages. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm just looking.
Okay.
Family and student, I can't log on. Okay. All right. Yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So next, what we're going to be doing is going through how you can help your student in Seesaw. So I'm just going to go over some general information about what the screens look like in Seesaw and sort of help you navigate Seesaw so that if your student has issues or your child has issues, with trying to complete assignments or not finding things where they need them, that you'll have a little bit more information about it. So when a student logs into Seesaw, this is what their main screen will look like. Again, it will be different depending on which classroom your student is in. So right here, this is your student's name. And then this student, my screenshot has one classroom, but this is where you're able to toggle between classes for your student. So there will be a drop down here and it will show any classes that your student is a part of. So there's no main activity feed for every single class. You have to drill into a class or choose a class and then you can see what activities or assignments are needing to be done. So it's per classroom. Here, this is the number of activities or assignments that the student has outstanding. And it's also in a little activity tab here on the right-hand side. Right here where their journal is, if I click on that journal tab, that's what automatically defaults as a journal tab. So the journal is where the student sees all of his or her activities. It's like an activity feed for that class. All completed, submitted, draft, and sent back activities appear in the journal. And then if a teacher uses a folder system, you can sort activities by category. So I'll show you here. Not every teacher uses this, so this may or may not be something that you're able to do, but I wanted to show you. If you click on that little folder here, it will bring up whatever folder system that that the teacher has set up. So if they are a third grade teacher, you might have something like math, English, social studies, science. If it is more of a junior high level or things like that, they might have it separated into unit or things like that. So all you would do is you would click on whatever folder you wanted, and then it will give you only activities that go with that category. So these folders, they're able to set up however they want to set them up. But if your student's just trying to look at, oh, what do I have to do for math today? And their teacher has set up a folder system, they can see that. If I move on to the activities tab, this is, as soon as I click on activities, it will show you the activities here. And this is where the student sees all their outstanding activities and assignments. I just wanted to drill into this section a little bit. And if they choose the to-do, they will see all of the activities that need a response. This does not show any drafts that they have. So if they've started an activity and saved it as a draft, it won't show up on the to-do. And it will not show activities that are sent back by the teacher. So this is just, I haven't touched it yet. This is what I have outstanding. In progress will show any activities that have been saved as drafts or need to be completed. So anything that's sent back or things like that, that's going to show in here. The done activities, this is anything that your student has finished and that's been completed by them. And these are the activities that you can view on the family portal. So these are the only activities that you're seeing on the family portal. The last thing in this section is a calendar. So if your student likes to look at a calendar view of things, the calendar shows all activities on the calendar. They can click on a specific day to see all of the assignments, but just so you know, it shows the assignments that are drafts, in progress, and done. It doesn't necessarily only show anything that's outstanding. Looking at a specific activity here, for a student, they would be able to choose add response. And then it opens up a page that may look like this. This is if a teacher didn't have a template or a worksheet or anything that they wanted the student to really write on, they would come to this page here. Just wanted to discuss sort of what this page is. It's like a 6-box page. This particular feature here is a photo. Just so you know, this isn't uploading a photo that you've already taken. It takes a photo of you from your actual device or your computer, and then you're able to draw on it or do things like that. So it's going to be a live photo that you would do for this particular section. This drawing tool basically is going to allow you to do all sorts of things. I'm going to drill right into that in just a minute, but you're able to create any activities, doing drawings, make photo collages, do anything like that with the drawing tool. It will open up that screen. If you clicked on video, this is a live video screen. So it will be recording you again live on your computer. So I can tell you that the live photo and live video are not necessarily used very often, because this is where the students tend to do it. They would tend to record themselves save it either to their Google Drive or their computer, and then upload it from there. And this is the tool that you would use for that. I found it, students find it, and even as a teacher myself, find it daunting to have live photos or live video taken. It's sometimes you have to practice 2 or 3 times to get it right, and then you just upload it from your computer. So that's what this tool is here. This little note is where they can write a reflection. It looks literally like a notepad, and they just type in. And then this link, they're able to link anything to a specific website or document or external resource. They just type in the URL or the link to it. So going into the drawing tool, this tool and what I'm going to show you now is not only important for students to do activities that don't have a template, but this screen will show up when there's a template as well. So depending on what the teacher has put on there, it will either be a blank white screen because there isn't a template, or there will be some sort of image or something like that that the students will see. But they'll come to this page regardless, and it looks like a nightmare. But I wanted to show you this because there's all sorts of drawing tools and things like that, and it becomes a little bit difficult sometimes for students to navigate. So I'm just going to start drilling down into each little part. So right here, they would be able to delete and start over. I can't tell you how many times I've had to do that, just because you start going off and it's not looking the way you want it, so you just kind of delete it or start over. This next one is hide tools. That's hiding all of the tools that are over here. So it would hide those so you didn't necessarily see those. You're able also to zoom in or out. That is super helpful for students to be able to kind of get into a little bit more fine detail. These will become your students' best friend, the undo and redo. Sometimes you do something and you just have to undo it. This next thing here, this add text with labels, I have 2 things highlighted because once they click on that T, they are able to choose a color as well for the font. So if your students are trying to figure out how to change the font color, they're just going to click on whatever color on the right-hand side. And then what happens is if you are somebody whose student has used this already and they're trying to create text or labels or things like that, the text comes out a specific size. You can't like say, oh, I want size 12 or I want size 18. But what happens is after you type it, it then becomes a text box that you can either shrink or make larger. So that's how you actually change the font size, which a lot of people have a really hard time with. So again, you type it in, then you click on the outside and you drag it to make it bigger or smaller. This draw and record, this is where when teachers are telling students to please record your thinking, this is where they want you to record it. This is just voice right here. This next one is you can take, again, it's a live photo or video or things like that, or you can upload something that you've already had. So if you have some work that your student is doing where they need to kind of show something that, you know, it's a scavenger hunt and they went outside and you had to take photos, that's where you would upload the photos that they took. This here, these are fun. You can add shapes or change the background, or you can put a link in here to a specific website, or if you have older students, that's where they, if they're referencing something where they got information like a website, they would be able to put the link in there. This caption with text or voice, what happens with that is there's a little record there as well. And what will happen is it will show up in a little box down on the bottom that there's a recording or that there's a little bit of a caption for whatever the page is here. This here is how you move things around. So once you put shapes on here or text boxes, you can move them around, or photos or whatever. This here, the annotate and draw, there's all different thicknesses and pens and things like that. Again, I highlighted the color with that so that you know that you can change the color of anything that you're doing there. This here, you can hold that down. Let's say there's more than one page and they don't like the order of them anymore. They can click and drag it and move it the order of their little slideshow or their pages here. If they've created a page that they wanted to get rid of, that's where they get rid of the page. You can add up to 20 pages. So if your students are being asked to do multiple things on different pages, they can add pages this way. You're able to save it as a draft. So if they're in the middle of it and they have dinner, or they're in the middle of it and they have the next class starting and they haven't finished, they can save it as a draft. Or they can save the final work, and this is how the teacher is going to see that they've completed it. Okay, so that is the student view of Seesaw in a nutshell. I'm just going to give just a minute to see if anybody has any specific questions about Seesaw before I move into Google Classroom.
There is a question just about whether the webinar will be emailed, and yes, it will be. So I just want to let everyone know that.
Great. Okay, so moving on to helping your student in Google Classroom. So this is the home screen for your student. Your student will be invited to join classrooms and things like that. So this is where they would, this is sort of what shows up as soon as they log in. So this is all of the Google Classrooms they've joined. So there might be 1, there might be 10, there might be 3. Here is the class name. Underneath the class name is a subheading. So a subheading might be like a section number, or it might be some other sort of distinguishing feature of a class. So if you have a class that's science, this might say earth science, or it might be what block it is, block 1, block 2, section 1, section 2, and then the teacher's name. Right here, this little 3-line area, this is where all of the classes are listed sort of in the drop down, and you would be able to drill into each one this way if you would like. But just know that this is, no matter where you are in Google Classroom, that 3-line drop down is always the same. It always has this particular list on it. I wanted to go into here into settings just a little bit. You won't probably need this in the student for your students. They're probably very well versed in how to do this, but this is where they change their profile picture. And if they're receiving email notifications and they don't want to, this is where they can turn that off. Most students that are in Google Classroom don't need email notifications, because this is where they go for everything. So I believe it defaults to off, so it probably won't be an issue, but just in case, that's how they would turn it off. This does not turn off your notifications on the Guardian summary, just so you know. This is student notifications. So back to the home screen, there is a area here where you can, they can look, and it's the to-do area. So this screen here is the to-do, and I have the assigned tab open. And so these are the assignments for every class right now. So regardless of the class, this is just a running list. They can, however, click the down arrow here and choose assignments for a specific class if they wanted to. So once they click the drop down, it will basically allow them to toggle from classroom to classroom. They can see what's due this week. They can see what's due next week, depending on if the teacher has put it in there. And then I wanted to show you this no due date section. This area here, you can use this little down arrow, and it will, once you open this up, this has anything that doesn't have a due date, and it tends to be announcements or reminders or things like that. This no due date for Google Classroom used to be used for teachers. There wasn't necessarily a stream portion of Google Classroom, so this is where they used to put in their announcements and reminders. And it is for right now, I have it for every class, unless the drop down was selected for a specific class. And the most current posts, again, are on the bottom of the list. So just a heads up with that. So now looking back to that to do, looking at the missing tab. So we just looked at the assigned tab. Now we're looking at the missing tab. They can choose any of these options. So this is anything missing from this week, last week, or even earlier than that. They can choose anything here. They can click to open an activity to finish it from here or what have you. And again, they can choose missing assignments for a specific class if they would like to. This, again, the to-do is on the to-do page. This is the done portion. So they can see, they can select any of these options, things that are done that had no due date or that they were done early this week, last week, or earlier. Again, they can choose to see the completed assignments for a specific class if they wanted to. So back to our home screen, there's also a calendar inside Google Classroom. If you click on that, it opens up a calendar view here. So students can choose any of their classes to view. So they can view all of their classes or just a specific class. It does show in a weekly view, but you can change which week you're viewing with the arrows on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. Students can also click on the assignment from here, so they're able to open any assignment and complete an assignment from the calendar as well. So if we drill into a specific class, you can choose the class from the 3-bar dropdown, or you can click right on it here, and you open the class. This is just a quick overview of what the main screen in a classroom will look like. So if we look here, this first one is the menu of classes. That's that 3 bars that we already talked about. This would be the current class that they're in. This here, the stream, is where the announcements are. Classwork is any of the assignments that they have to complete. These people are the teachers and classmates in their class. The waffle button is the app directory. So Google has a lot of apps and things like that. So that's how they can access them, is through that little waffle. Your account is here. So that's the student's account. They can view upcoming assignments in this little area here. And any updates or things like that from your teacher are right on this main page. So I just wanted to give a little shout out. Mr. Vaca from Mohonasen High School had this slide, which was super helpful. All right, so this is an actual Google Classroom main page. This is the stream tab. Again, this is where announcements are posted. Depending on the teacher, they may also show classwork in this the stream, but most of them do not. But here you can see the stream has everything that's the most current at the top, which is great. And you can see here, if an assignment is posted here, they can click on the assignment from here. Any class questions or comments can be posted here. So this was a specific quote of the day, and she's looking, or he or she is looking for any questions or comments on that particular quote of the day. This upcoming tends to be assignments that are due for the current or upcoming week. Most teachers are not giving any assignments out past that. It's already overwhelming enough to be looking at a current week. So looking at the classwork tab now, once you click on classwork, this is a sample of what you'll see. Every teacher is different and will set up their Google Classroom in their own way. I do know that a lot of schools are working really hard for them to be streamlined, and they have sort of, these are the things that you have to have on each classroom so that it's a little bit easier for people to manage. But for the most part, again, classwork is where the assignments and any resources are going to be located. And just keep in mind that your student can't always just look at the classwork. They might need to check the stream to make sure that they don't have any questions to answer, or there might be some other information or handouts in the stream. So make sure that they're kind of checking both, but anything that needs to be completed is traditionally right in this classwork area. This here are the list of all of the topics. Teachers create their own topics. They're sort of like headings for assignments. So it will vary depending on the class. But you can see here, this is where they're located. It's again, sort of our little subheadings for assignments and work in the class. If a student wants to drill down into a specific assignment, they click on it and it opens up this assignment page. Just a little bit about this page is this is when the assignment was posted. This is when it's due. This is always a good one. I find that with my kids, it's like, no, they just posted it and it's due tomorrow, but sometimes you might look and it might have actually been posted a little bit before then. So it's always good to check. You can also see that it's been assigned. So if they're clicking on something that has already been submitted, you will see that it says graded there, or something that's past its due date will say missing. So one of those three things will show up in the corner. This here allows students to click in and view the actual assignment. So this is what it looks like once they open it, this particular one. There are so many options in Google that they will look different depending on the assignment, but this is in general. This is where directions are located and any other materials that might be needed. Some teachers will post this particular document that they have to finish in both places, or this might be an example of something and this is your student's actual one, so you might take a peek there. This is where a student can post a class comment or question that everybody can view. This is private comments between the student and the teacher. Both, they can comment back and forth to one another, and that's where it'll show up. This here is where the actual assignment to be completed is. Again, the format varies depending on the assignment. Some assignments will not have any specific sort of template or anything that they need to use, so the students will create their own and they'll be able to add it and upload it right in this spot here. This is where students submit an assignment or turn it in. Sometimes it needs to be resubmitted because a teacher has asked them to do something else, so it might say resubmit. So if I click on turn something in and I put the attachment on there and I say turn in, I will choose the turn in here, and then this area right here changes to turned in and then unsubmit because it's already been submitted. Assignments include, these are the pretty typical sort of formats that assignments might be in: Google Docs or Google Sheets, Google Forms or Google Slides. However, Google has a ton of extensions. So they might have something else. They might be using Jamboard, or they might be using Flipgrid, or they might be using something else, but just know that teachers are pretty specific in the assignments to be able to make sure that they know that students know what they need to complete. So the last tab on the class screen is the People tab. This is basically where the teachers and the classmates are. They're able to email each other and they can talk with their teachers or classmates on the People tab. So that is Google Classroom Student View in a nutshell. I don't know if there's any questions here. I don't see any. All right, so I will move on from there. If one of my helpers could let me know if there's any questions, that would be great. I don't see any yet, so. Again, wrap up in questions. So here's a little bit, again, this is a slide that we showed in the beginning, just reminding you of the information on our parent series. There's going to be these webinars here that are going to be coming up. Again, this webinar was more of a how-to. We sort of hear the frustration that parents and families are having with being able to navigate Seesaw and Google Classroom with their students. So we wanted to offer that to everybody. And then we're starting to get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of how to help students with specific either number fluency or vocabulary or standards and all of that kind of stuff. So just so that you can know, we have the opportunity for you to access the parent series in a few different ways. For those of you who are administrators or school personnel, you can purchase a subscription for $1,000 per school, and it goes to the entire parent and guardian community. If you are an individual parent or guardian, you can, if you have a specific webinar that you really want to see, you can choose to spend $9.99 per webinar, or you can buy the whole series if you're interested in all of them for a discounted price for $49.99 for the series. And if you would like any additional information, you can go to the Demonstrated Success website, and it's right on our homepage. And if you look at the parent series, it's got the information right there. Our social media, we are doing some fun things on social media. So follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. We've got some really great articles up there. We've got some sort of fun, we have our children's books that we really liked. We've got links to our webinars and to other important information. So make sure you follow us or like us on social media. And this is how you can get in touch with us. We have a phone number here, and then if you want to get in touch with me specifically, if you have any questions about Seesaw or Google Classroom, I am happy to answer any questions that you have, or Karen as well. We will send you an email with a link and a copy of this presentation for you to be able to view at another time, or if you have folks that you know really wanted to see it or you think would be interested, they're definitely able to take a peek. We'll be putting it up, I believe, on our website, so they should be able to see the link right there too. So 4 minutes over, not too bad. Let's see. There's a couple of questions here. We have, is Flipgrid a Google app? I don't believe it's a Google app, but Flipgrid is one that a lot of teachers I know are using, specifically at the middle school and high school level and things like that. And then I see another question here. Any tips for students to organize their emails from Google Classroom? I mean, it's going into their Google email so that they can create a folder system in there, but Google Classroom is in itself relatively organized depending on the teacher. And just being able to go into those tabs and see what's missing, being able to choose a specific class or things like that to see what information is missing or is coming up is probably going to be the better option. I find it hard to manage Google Classroom and the emails and all of that. So that would be my tip, is to really just be looking mostly in Google Classroom to see what is available and what there is. If you have any other questions, you can also raise your hand and I can unmute you and we can go from there. But for right now, this is the end of our presentation, but I'm again happy to stay on and answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know that this is a tricky time right in the middle of your evening. So we appreciate everybody coming and being a part of it. All right, I don't see any other comments. So at this point, I will sign off and thanks again. Take care.